Star, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
You know, when we sat down to start making this podcast, everybody said, how are you going to talk about Star Wars every week? Well, 3 years later, all I got to say is, ha! This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. 3 years, man.
Yeah, I know.
3 years. We made it 3 years. Take that shit, huh?
Right.
Hey, even I'm surprised, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. My family's really surprised.
Yeah, it is funny. Like, you know, sometimes you sit down and get ready to go sit down and record and say, hey, I'm going to record a show. And people are like, oh, you're still doing that?
Right.
Yeah, good to know I have family support.
Exactly.
Sorry, I don't need you to listen. Other people listen.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a celebration episode if we didn't have someone on. This is kind of like what we do, right? We bring someone on to celebrate with us.
That's right.
And it's been a long time. It's been a long time since Hunter has joined us. And really, when we have Hunter on, he's not like a guest. He's like a guest host.
Right.
So, Hunter, welcome back. It's been a long time, man.
Yeah, I'm back and ready to argue. Got a lot of stuff that happened since I've been back, so give me a topic and I'm ready to go.
Right on, right on. There's plenty of stuff to talk about that's happened, you know, since we last convened.
Yeah.
You know, we got the Mandalorian, the Clone Wars. I mean, the Clone Wars. Did I mention the Clone Wars?
The Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars. Oh
Yes.
my God.
That would be season 7 we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Like, I'm ready to talk about this with you because, well, we've been waiting to talk about this with you. Forgot where I was going there. I was going somewhere, but I lost it. It's all right.
So overall, what'd you think, Hunter?
Oh, the classic overall. Overall, I mean, the last 4 episodes definitely carried it into some of the best Star Wars we have ever seen. I would easily say.
Right.
The Bad Batch I liked. We'll talk on that. The middle arc was a little weak, but it gave us those last 4 episodes, so I can look past that. Just, man, I wish we got more Star Wars like that. I really do.
Yeah, I really found that middle arc to be kind of disappointing in a way because I really expected it to go somewhere with those 2 characters they introduced.
Yeah, the first episode they were interesting, and then the second episode they didn't change, and then they didn't change, and then they didn't change. It's just I still like seeing Ahsoka in general. She's my favorite character. It's great seeing her do whatever, but it just so much potential. It's just nothing happened.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now listening to Dave Filoni talk about it, he had a purpose behind it, and that was like for those who weren't that familiar with Ahsoka, you know, that kind of like gives her a, you know,
Like a reintroduction.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
I think it was more important to show just the difference between Clone Wars Ahsoka and Rebels Ahsoka. Because it felt like her personality was changing into Rebels, which I did like. I liked how she was like hesitant to use the Force because she thought it was Jedi only, which is ridiculous. But we'll talk about that. They only had 12 episodes. I don't see why you would include those 4. But on a happier note, like the Bad Batch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a way to start it off. I mean, that that first episode especially. I mean, they came out firing.
Strong, right? It was
Real strong. Like we got together after that first episode. We were like, "Whoa, what are we in for? Who comes out like that?"
Yeah. It felt like a release of a movie. I remember I had when the episode came out, I had like 5 or 6 friends over, and we all watched together, and we're just like screaming the whole time because of how good it was. It was like, oh, all these interesting characters and just plot, and oh, it's Revenge of the Sith almost, and it was great.
Right.
So I think Filoni nailed that.
I gotta say, the whole Bad Batch arc kind of felt like that to me. Like it was almost, you can't say nonstop action, but almost nonstop action through the whole arc. You know, every time you turned around, they were like in the thick of it, you know?
Yeah, it was a crazy pace for a 4-episode arc.
Right.
Insane pace. And to come out the gate like that, that's one thing that I say about that middle arc, that, okay, when you're sandwiched between the Bad Batch and Siege of Mandalore, of course you're going to look like the weakest link.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take a lot of arcs from the Clone Wars throughout its history and stuff it in between those two, and they're going to seem weak. Even some pretty strong arcs. I wouldn't say the strongest of arcs. The strongest of arcs would fit perfectly, but
Mortis.
yeah, Mortis is probably the strongest arc throughout the entire series. But yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find an episode arc to put between those two and go, wow, that was just as good as the other ones. No,
Right.
it wasn't.
That's actually, yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
And that's where I cut the slack for those. With my main point of contention with that is it failed to show growth for these characters that they were really trying to get us invested in these two sisters. And I really wanted to get invested in them because they were interesting characters really all throughout the arc, but they never really fleshed them out and developed them. They just kind of left them in stasis.
Yeah. If you recall, Joe, you and I had theories on what was going to happen, and was it was Trace and Rafa, right?
Yeah.
Was she gonna finally see that her sister was no good and split from her and this and that? And it was like none of that ever kind of it didn't even think about going there,
I mean, they did kind of tease it at times.
Right.
That Trace would kind of be like, Rafa's no good for me. And then they'd tease that Rafa would turn it around.
Right.
So you had these potentials for an ending in that arc that just never came to fruition.
Exactly.
And with the Bad Batch, I mean, you had all these interesting characters that they just kept building and building and building. Hell, even in the last episode, they were building on these characters. You just didn't have that in that middle arc.
Well,
and of course, the last arc, I mean, you didn't have to build a ton on the characters that were present, but Ahsoka grew a lot, Rex grew a lot, and these are characters that have already grown so much throughout the course of the series. So why you couldn't grow 2 brand new characters is just beyond me.
Yeah, I agree. Because the last arc, which we will get to, I want to focus on that for a while. But I think Ahsoka grew almost as much as she did through the entire Clone Wars series. You got to really see her shift into almost Rebels era Ahsoka, which I loved.
Yeah.
Going back to the, I guess, Bad Batch, because that's the first arc and stuff, that felt like the best of the old Clone Wars, when the Clone Wars was airing, the best arcs we saw, that felt like that. The middle arc, the twins or the sisters, whatever, that felt more like they were trying to mix that with something new. And then the Siege of Mandalore arc felt like the best of the Clone Wars and the best of Rebels combined. like emotional high points, high action, animation. It just nailed everything. So it's like they found their footing. It just took till the last arc to really do it all, I think.
Yeah, when you can hit us with a deep Vader moment at any time.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
says a
Vader
lot, right?
Vader using a lightsaber that's blue and just, I don't know. You just saw Anakin in that moment. God. It's the best stuff out there.
That's for sure.
All right, so we'll go ahead. We'll dive into that arc a little bit. We got a ton of stuff to talk about, obviously, because we haven't talked to you in so long. And there's some new stuff out there, but not tons. But let's talk about the Siege of Mandalore. Let's really get your thoughts on that. Aside from Ahsoka's growth, obviously, like what along the way really, really grabbed you in that arc?
Okay, so I would say three things overall were the biggest things that just, God, this is great Star Wars. Seeing Anakin just for the little bit we saw, seeing him be cocky and just kind of like the battle droids aren't even a threat anymore. Like nothing is a threat to him. He's almost like a god at this point, but seeing him still care so much about Ahsoka the second she shows up and almost abandoning everything the Jedi Code taught him the second Ahsoka pops up. I loved that. Seeing Maul just be able to be Maul and not be interrupted, like just be his crazy, just egotistical, just evil like I loved everything they did with Maul. And then the third thing is obviously Ahsoka. They captured high points on all three of those characters, more so than I thought they did in any of the previous Clone Wars content we got, or Rebels.
Yeah. So real quick, Maul. So one thing for me with Maul is it was nice to see Maul really broken away from the chains of the Sith, and like we got to see that in Rebels, but that was a little crazier Maul, right? Like he was a little more
Unhinged.
power obsessed at that point, and just nuts. But the Maul here, like it was like actually seeing like a rational kind of thinking Maul. Like you don't know what you're walking into. Like, he's literally telling Ahsoka this.
Yeah.
You guys are literally playing into his hands.
Just, I think this is Maul in his prime. Like I don't know if it's the most stable his mind is, because he was tortured by the Emperor and all that by Palpatine, but just the way he handles everything, including the Mandalorians, like this is the best Maul we've seen.
Yeah, I mean this is Maul, who is, like I said, in Rebels he's really far gone with his mental state. Like he's completely lost it. But right here he's like a conspiracy theorist, but a conspiracy theorist that is right.
Yeah, Palpatine told him everything. It was like, okay, I'll tell you everything, but there's nothing you can do about it. No one's going to believe you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. No one believes him. He's
Exactly.
telling them the truth, and they're like, no, you're lying.
And Ahsoka is even about to actually team up with them at a point to stop this. And then the second he mentions Anakin, she's completely out. Which, there's an argument, would she actually team up with them? I kind of think maybe she would give it a thought. Like, if he said something, she would do that to save Anakin.
I think she was thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't think it was black and white. I think she was thinking about, like, the gray at that point. Which I'm not saying gray Jedi, but still.
I think Ahsoka is going to be the closest thing we will ever get to a gray Jedi.
100%.
Great,
Yes, I agree.
as far as gray Jedi that we like know of, right? Like that's the closest thing we'll ever get to what we know of as being gray Jedi. There, I said it better that time.
Yeah, I hope we get more. I really do, because I love that middle. But yeah, she's the best we've seen so far, at least. I'll say that.
Well, I want to spin off into something else we talked about, and it has to do with the Clone Wars, and it has to do with this arc, but it has to do with Ahsoka's story overall. Doug and I had a conversation about how Ahsoka seems to be becoming the most popular Star Wars character, and why that is. I mean, we've seen Ahsoka's story more than any other character in the Star Wars universe, in my opinion. I mean, it's not even really my opinion. I think we've seen Ahsoka's growth more than we've seen any other character. Think
about it. She started out as, the R2E Sky Guy Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And she ended up, hooded, cloaked, going on a search for Ezra Ahsoka.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the change we've seen, like Anakin, we've seen all of his life, but the most actual good character development that makes sense, Ahsoka easily. That's why she's my favorite character. We've seen her go through the most like trials and come out not always on top, but in a way that seems realistically believable. And yeah, the more we see of her, the more her character just makes sense, I think. Because we saw her in season 1 and it was just, oh God, snips and all that. It's but now we see her and it's like, we look back at that and it's nostalgic and it almost brings like a tear to your eye of seeing her that young and naive before all this bad stuff happens.
We talk a lot about like the Clone Wars movie when it came out, and the Snips and Sky Guy and R2E and Stinky, that right. Ahsoka versus what she grew into, and we watched that growth. It was a gradual thing. It's not like we saw this movie and then immediately she was not that anymore because fans reacted negatively to it. No, she grew from that.
Yeah.
And it's funny to think about and I'll use the word, like vitriol towards Ahsoka at her introduction. And now she's beloved.
Yeah. Almost by everyone, I would say.
Yeah, I would have
the biggest switch we've seen.
I mean, I know some of my friends are the most hardcore OT is the only Star Wars, people out there. And they're like, oh yeah, Ahsoka's great. And they said that to me and I'm like, what?
She's just written as well as the OT characters, I think. No one else in the prequel trilogy or the sequel trilogy is written as well. Because she makes sense. And I think that's why a lot of people just empathize with her, I'd say, I guess. Through all the stuff she's been with, it's just her choices and stuff. It just makes sense.
Yeah, and I think if it wasn't for Ahsoka Tano, we never would have had a moment in The Rise of Skywalker with, a Kanan Jarrus, Ahsoka Tano, all these other characters that weren't ever on the big screen, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. We would have never had that moment if it wasn't for Ahsoka. And the growth and the love of that character. I think she was the fuel for that moment, in all honesty. And obviously they want to have a Anakin Obi-Wan moment in there, Yoda, but it just made so much sense to bring all these Jedi of old. And then to put a real kind of question mark on it by Ahsoka wasn't a Jedi in the end.
Right. Not to mention we didn't know whether, because as far as we're aware, every other Jedi had passed on at that point, but we didn't know that about Ahsoka.
I hope she's alive, but yeah. If she's dead, we still got a couple more years, and that's fine. But,
Dave Filoni did comment on that.
He did, yeah.
Basically saying yeah, you don't know she's dead or you don't know she's not alive.
Right.
But everyone else is dead.
But it's Dave Filoni.
It is, and he's saying it could be either way. So I don't. We'll see. We'll see. If she's dead, it's not the biggest deal because that still means we get years. But
Right.
I
This
think
is the
her
guy I
just
was
being
at
there was awesome.
This is a guy, when I was at my first Star Wars celebration, was walking around for the entire convention with an Ahsoka Lives ? t-shirt.
That blows my mind. I wish
And
I
then
was
at
there.
the end of it, he switches it to an Ahsoka Lives ! So
That's. If I was there, I swear.
that guy knows how to play with you.
He does. He does.
And make it fun. Make you not hate him for it.
Yeah, I really hope Disney just gives him full power to do whatever story he has in mind for that, whatever that ends up being. Because it doesn't need to be a happy ending or anything. I just want to see his vision for it. Because it's the closest we're going to get to Lucas's vision.
That statement
Yeah,
right
I mean-
there, I couldn't agree with more. I think Dave Filoni is definitely the closest thing we're ever going to have to George Lucas moving forward in Star Wars.
I mean, Jon Favreau seems to be getting it pretty good too.
Yeah, but I mean, he's working with Dave.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, whether or not Dave Filoni's involved in all Star Wars going forward or not is not as important to me as Dave Filoni being involved in whatever happens with Ahsoka
That
going
yeah,
forward.
definitely. That is the most important thing for sure.
I will actually agree with that. Oh my god, if they make books and comics, I 100% need Dave Filoni to be involved with every single bit of it. Because I do not, over every other character, even Luke, because I mean they've already ruined Luke, but like over every character in Star Wars, like that's the one I care about the most right now. Even Thrawn, I'll say that.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's bold.
I know Thrawn's was my favorite for so long.
I mean, I'm with you 100%. I am definitely on the Ahsoka bandwagon.
God, I guess it is a bandwagon now, huh?
It's definitely become that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm okay with it.
Now, I mean, I was on the bandwagon pretty early on. I kind of caught on to the potential for this character relatively early in the Clone Wars. I saw the growth in the early days and was like, wow, they might be headed somewhere with this. So I would say, probably by the end of season 2, I'm like, okay, I'm really, really interested in this character at this point.
I think you were ahead of me actually then, because I didn't see the potential to be that great of a character until she left the Jedi Order.
Oh, really?
I thought she was so tight. No, like I loved her as a character, but for her being that high up in my list of favorites,
Well, no, I'm
Once
not
she-
saying she moved up my list of favorites. I just
potential wise,
I really started to see Ahsoka's potential early on, and see that they were really going to do something with this character.
okay, Mortis for me then. So season 3-ish, but still,
Oh yeah, and her vision
yeah,
on Mortis
Yeah.
in the fire, that was a really big moment.
yeah, Mortis, really good.
Really nothing wrong with that arc.
There isn't.
Okay, well, we talked about the Bad Batch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Bad Batch series coming then, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna hit you with it again. Thoughts?
Okay. All right. Overall thoughts on Bad Batch. I am excited for new Star Wars content, obviously. As far as I know, it's being run by Filoni. Am I correct? Or do we not know?
I haven't seen an official announcement on who's running it yet.
I would think Filoni.
I believe he's going to have something like an executive producer credit on that, something like that.
Okay.
He's not going to be
That's-
like supervising director or anything like that, though.
Okay. I think it's going to be interesting. I I hope they're able to go to a point where it really does do something for the lore of Star Wars, not just fun episodes. Because they can do fun episodes forever. The Bad Batch are super interesting. All the characters, I love them. But if they're able to make them do something that actually impacts the overall story, then I'm super in. I'm going to watch it no matter what. But excitement-wise, I would say most excited for Mandalorian Season 2, and then Kenobi, and then Bad Batch. I'd like to do that ranking, I guess.
So
Wow.
I'd like to ask then. Okay, you say something more. What was the term you used? Something more significant in Star Wars, or something like that.
Yeah.
So would you consider if they were to try to do something with maybe finding clones and helping them out with their inhibitor chips and stuff, or something of that nature, and like setting them free, setting them up on a rural planet somewhere, just so they can like finish out their days? I don't know. I kind of like that kind of thought. You know what I'm saying? Because somewhere between episode 3 and episode 4, we have a bunch of clones who, I guess they start out as stormtroopers, but you know, it's a pretty sad existence for the rest of their days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that would actually be a significant tale in Star Wars for them to help out as many clones as possible, or something like that. You know, or that be one part of the story. You know, but I mean,
Yeah.
or are you talking like maybe find some sort of artifact that's going to, I don't know.
Do some Force stuff, because that's my thing.
Right?
No, I think if it goes past Order 66 and it's not just stuck in the Clone Wars, I'm in. I'm 100% in. It's just if they're just stuck on the Clone Wars doing random missions that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, I'll have fun with it, but it's not going to really impact me much. I want it to have the impact that like Rebels had, which was just lore destroying almost, like the World Between Worlds and all that. Doesn't have to have Force stuff, but just show us some things we haven't seen before, I guess.
Okay. I think I have a feeling this story is going past Order 66, because, you know, I do believe they have like because they're all modified, you know, that the inhibitor chips aren't going to actually work very well on them. So, you know, I got a feeling they're going to get a pass on Order 66.
That would be cool, and I'm very down for that.
Well, I mean, so I gotta ask the question: Would boots on the ground Trooper Star Wars really be like the same old though? I mean, the Clone Wars gave us, you know, a taste of that, but a series that's focused on that, I feel like would be very different than anything we've seen before. Because, yeah, while we got episodes that were dedicated to clones and the soldiers on the ground, we didn't really get that story super fleshed out. So wouldn't that be kind of different if they do just do the soldier thing?
So, my reaction at least, different isn't always good. That would be different. I get, like, we've seen a little bit in Rogue One, but I just want it to be interesting. The characters are very one way or another, like what we've seen with the Bad Batch. If they can go into them and make them more diverse and just unique, I guess, I'm in. But what we've seen out of the Clone Wars is they're very one way or another. Like Hunter is very serious. God, do I remember any of the other names besides my own? That's the hard part.
So, Hunter, Tech,
Okay, so Tech is
Wrecker.
very nerdy and
Right.
antisocial and can do all the electronic things.
Right.
Like, everyone has their thing they do, but like, I want more. Like, go more into their characters and make them actual people,
But-
instead of just
See, but that's
generic.
part of what's making them unique. You know, the Clone Wars did show us that the clones could have their own personalities,
Yeah, Rex.
but huh?
Rex. I mean, Rex is super diverse and great. He's an actual person,
Yeah,
I would say.
Gregor.
Gregor as well. I think Rex is the best example because we've seen the most of him.
But I mean, was Rex like the most diverse? I mean, Rex was very, very protocol.
yeah.
Until he wasn't. I would say.
In the
Yes.
last episode.
Yes. Fair
You
point.
see where I'm
Fair-
going with this?
Yes. Fair point. They literally takes one episode though to completely change the character, and I think they did it perfectly with Rex. Because we saw him in Rebels, and he's completely different.
Yeah,
But
He's not as protocol.
so think about like some of your Clone Wars arcs, right? That was focused on troopers. But imagine those troopers are truly a motley crew of characters.
right.
You know, these guys are just out there. They're gonna do the unconventional. They're not gonna be the by the book clone trooper that you see. I mean, it's gonna be very, I mean, dare I say, like Star Wars 18. You know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
super fair.
So, what I could also see happening here is if this goes beyond Order 66, is perhaps these guys knowing what they're going to end up knowing as far as the inception of the Empire. Maybe they are the spark. You know what I'm saying? But
I do.
but
Yeah.
maybe they maybe they start a little bit of rebellion somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Not quote unquote start the rebellion, but maybe on some world, some outer rim world somewhere, they end up helping getting the Empire kicked off at least for a while.
Yeah.
Something.
I'd like that.
well, these guys are the fear. Like if you've watched the Rambo films, right? They always had this fear of John Rambo, like just turning on them,
Right.
you know, because of what kind of havoc that could, bring down on him, because of how good he is. Could you imagine the havoc these guys would bring down if they were to turn
That's
on their commanding officers?
exactly. Yeah. And then if they figure out the inhibitor chips, and they can
Which Tech will, obviously.
Right. See, I think there is story there. I think it's
Yeah.
and is it really deep Star Wars lore? Not necessarily, but it's good story in Star Wars.
That's fine. If they can do that, I'm fine with that. I don't need the lore. I just love it, obviously. But the more I think about the Bad Batch, the more I think they would really work well in like a bounty hunter show. Like if they were able to kind of just leave and become bounty hunters for Jabba or some other hut, they would work so well together.
It could happen that way too. That could work.
Yeah, it's a different viewpoint, but I think that could work really well. So if they did that post Order 66, maybe starting season 2, because I'm guessing it's getting more than one season, it could be really interesting, and all the characters could change a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go the whole bounty hunter road entirely and working for someone, just mercs, Star Wars Blackwater, man. Like,
Yeah, that way too. I like it.
Yeah, they could run into like Boba Fett and stuff, like, and not kill each other, but just talk and stuff. There's a lot of potential there. I do see that point at least.
you lost me. Every time someone goes, they could run into Boba Fett, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mandalorian season 2, you're out.
I'm out of the whole Boba Fett thing.
That's fair. Not my favorite, just a familiar face.
Yeah, I feel like they're doing it because everybody thought that's what they're doing. But we'll get to that. Boba Fett anymore to me is just fan service.
Which Star Wars has a lot of.
Not until recently.
Disney. But yeah, God, where do we start? Overall thoughts of Bad Batch. More interested after this conversation, actually, but we'll see. I guess.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so we're going to talk about some news for a moment before we go back down Rabbit Hole City. Because, hey, and that's fine. Don't take that the wrong way, guys. I love the rabbit holes.
Right.
But first up, so a little bit about like me in recent days. I picked up an Oculus Quest, right?
Ooh, nice.
And I played Vader Immortal.
Very nice.
Okay, if you have not played this, you need to check this out. It is a ton of fun. It's not the most amazing thing in the world, right? It's just really fun. I mean, you get to do stuff that you feel in it, right? You feel in Star Wars when you have this headset on and you're going through this stuff. It's not crazy gameplay because it's more focused on the story. It's like you're playing a part in a film.
Oh, I think I might like that better.
Yeah, because you can screw up in the combat and things like that quite a lot. And you're not going to die.
Okay.
But the combat's fun. You still end up trying your hardest because you don't want to get hit, right?
Right.
I got a lightsaber. I'm not supposed to get hit. I have a lightsaber.
Nice.
But it's just fun. It's fun to get immersed in that story, to feel like you're playing a part in it. It's just a good time. Like I said, not groundbreaking as far as Star Wars gameplay goes when it comes to video games. I think Jedi Fallen Order did that.
The best.
It's pretty amazing. The gameplay in that is unbelievable. But it is a ton of fun along the way. But the reason I bring it up is because the Vader Immortal series is coming to PlayStation VR on August 25th. So that means it's going to be available to even more people out there. And if you have PlayStation VR, I highly recommend picking this up, checking it out. If you like Star Wars, you're going to like this game. Like I said, if you're looking at it for a crazy, awesome Star Wars game, it's not going to be that. It's going to be like getting a good Star Wars story and you feeling like you're a part of it.
Awesome.
So, worth checking out. Just wanted to bring it up. That's all.
Yeah, cool. I'd say it feels like playing a comic book story, but you're a part of it. Because the overall story feels like something you'd read in the comic book, I would say. But you get to be a piece of it, which makes it something special.
Yeah, and that's really the whole gem of it, right? Is that you just feel a part of it. So
sweet.
When you first start the game and you turn over and you flick all your switches on your console and you push the lever down and go to hyperspace, it feels really good. It's just like you get sucked in right away. Like, yes, I feel like I'm in Star Wars.
That would be cool. So,
but I just had to bring that up. any more availability for this is just great. And having experienced it now, granted, I'm a little behind the curve, and sure, a lot of people are probably going, "Oh yeah, you really just got to that?"
Right.
But yeah, it did. It took me a while to pull the trigger on some VR. I had to make sure it was going to be worth my while, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Now we move into stuff that it's news, but we may end up down a rabbit hole. So,
Okay.
I am here.
so there's a report out now that Adria Arjona, there's no R in there, Arjona, there's no R after the J. I'm horrible at names.
It's all right.
But she's joining the cast of Cassian, the Disney Plus series. So it is still out there. There is still life with this thing. We were kind of wondering for a minute because it really went quiet for a while.
Yeah. Last thing I heard was Cassian and Kenobi are gonna be sharing the same crew for shooting, so they're gonna be kind of operating one right after another.
But it was really kind of odd for a minute because Cassian kind of it was the front runner for a moment with
Yep.
all the talks.
Yep.
And then it disappeared and Obi-Wan just moved to the front. It's like, whoa, I thought Cassian was supposed to be first.
This might be a little telling about what everyone really wants to see.
That's true.
I agree.
But hey, don't get me wrong. I love this a Cassian show, especially with K2SO.
Yes,
So
for sure. Hunter?
All right.
Yeah, we like it. We like it.
Yeah, sure. It's whatever. Okay. K2SO. Interesting character. Honestly, more interesting than Cassian, I would say. Cassian is just another rebel. I don't really care about his story. We got to see the end of it, which was super motivating and emotional and everything I'd want to see with that kind of character. We got to see it all. What they can build off of it, I just don't care. Like,
wow.
I know it's harsh. They could completely turn it around and make an incredible story and just blow me away, but I just don't see it.
Is your force ability in Star Wars bias playing into this at all? Like,
Maybe. So obviously, Star Wars, I think, is the best when the Force is involved because the Force is so interesting and creative and unique. But I'm fine with like regular stories. It's just Cassian. Why? There's other interesting characters, like we talked about earlier. The Bad Batch, way more interesting than just Cassian. Like we saw what he ends up doing, his death. Getting to there, just there's no interesting point I see. They could prove me wrong. They could 100% prove me wrong, but I just don't see an interesting point they could take with it.
Okay. Do you think it would be interesting to build on Cassian in a way that would make him appear a little more like a Saw Gerrera than... No?
No. We already have the Saw Gerrera character, and we have what Cassian was, which is different. He is a 100% freedom fighter that has been raised that way since birth. That's what he said. I don't think it would be that interesting if he is a copy of Saw Gerrera.
Well, I'm not saying a copy, but we saw glimpses of Cassian early on in Rogue One before he got involved with Jyn Erso that showed him a little more brutal.
Yeah. I like the gray
he
side.
killed
The
his
fact that he
contact.
killed yeah, he killed contacts. It's great. We need more of that in Star Wars. The good people aren't always good. Like, they have a good goal, but they're not always going to act in a good manner, I guess. Sure, put some of that, but you're going to need more to keep people interested, I think.
So, when you say we're going to need more of what? Like, what could make this a more interesting show for you? Unless you just think it's hopeless. It is what it is, and that's it.
No, it's not. I'd say more character overall. More, so right now he's playing the complete, I wouldn't say neutral, but I'd say he's for the rebellion for anything, right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to see more problems, like more things come up. Say he has relationship drama, or his friends went to the Empire and he didn't. Like, show some just differing, just conflict of opinions, and I think that could make the show a lot more interesting. Don't make it so black and white, how Star Wars usually is. Really just play to that gray area.
So, the black and white thing, that's kind of a staple of Star Wars. It's kind of part of it, like at least the way it started out originally.
Yeah, we all know how people react when you change stuff.
In a way, I would say in a way, because sure there's black and white, but I would even say seeing the prequel trilogy, like watching it, the Emperor has a point in some of the aspects of it. It's not total black and white. Sure, he's super evil, but like his motives and stuff, it seems a little bit more realistic, which I like.
I mean, it seems realistic because it was manipulation.
Right. So I guess my thing is this: when we first meet Cassian, he is there in the room talking with Mon Mothma and all the other top leaders of the rebellion. He has a very high standing there. My thought is, how did he get there? What did he do? Because clearly he is still kind of like a boots on the ground agent, but he does have that high regard. So what did he do to get there? That's kind of what I'm curious about.
Yeah, and at the same time, so he's got that high regard, right? He's able to be in there, but yet they turn and look at Jyn Erso, a person they need.
Right.
Like, they need her for what they're looking to achieve, but they don't want her in there for that meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
This is basically closed door. You're not one of us. Well, she has every bit of information and stuff that you need.
Right.
I don't know how that wouldn't be in your strategy meeting. Seems like bad planning on the part of the rebellion. But yeah, what gets Cassian that pass? Like, what gets him in there? Because he doesn't seem like much different than Jyn, really.
No.
So yeah, I guess that's my question. What do you think, Hunter? I mean, I don't know. I'm curious as to how he could, gain that kind of respect with the rebellion.
Yeah.
So, my thought is it's got to be something interesting. There's got to be an interesting story there. Not to mention, I like Ellen Tudyk. So, I guess that's where I'm at with it, and it's Star Wars, any story that takes place in that world, I'm there. But
yeah, agreed. Okay. So if they're doing just a 1-season show, then for sure they can carry it with that part, him gaining that almost just respect from the rebellion, just to gain that point in the rebellion. But if they're trying to make the real show out of this, like multiple seasons, I don't see them being able to carry it with just that.
I believe this is a miniseries, much like Obi-Wan.
Then
Yeah,
I guess they can do it.
I got a
I
feeling it's
just
the
see
same.
more.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're gonna do something like this, like The Mandalorian, like we see multiple and multiple seasons, it's not gonna just be a one short story. I think anything they make at this point should be multiple things, not just a tiny story.
I think I understand. I think you'd rather see like a Yoda arc.
Any other character, any single other character in the entire series, yes. Yes, you're right. Any other character.
Oh wow, he's just gonna agree with that.
Yep, you're right. Any other character.
That pains you. That pains you to say that.
I would rather see Jar Jar.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather see Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But I like Jar Jar.
Oh, God.
That is funny. All right.
I don't say that in jest. I say that for real. I am 100% down with the Jar Jar Binks Disney Plus series.
If they really go he was the Sith Lord the entire time, sure.
No.
If it's just him being an idiot,
Yep.
nah, I'm fine.
I gotta tell you, it could be funny.
Sure it could, but man, Star Wars has so much potential. I'd hate to see it ruined more than it already has been with the
Okay,
sequel.
hold on. I've got to
Yep,
say
yep.
this. I don't think a comedy, Star Wars comedy show, starring Jar Jar, would ruin it.
Not even a little bit.
Okay, not even a
okay.
little bit, and definitely not more than what's been done already.
Okay, you almost have me there. You almost do. It's mainly the fact that Jar Jar has never made me laugh, even as a child. I don't see it actually being funny. But yeah, Star Wars comedy in general, yeah, it'd be a lot better than the sequel trilogy, but there we got to do it right.
Right. That's funny.
God.
Okay, well. Okay, so for you, what you're looking for coming down the road is Mandalorian, right? You said that.
Number 1, yes.
Kenobi.
I'd say number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the Force in there, right?
Shut up. Not even just the Force, just the fact that there could be some interesting aspects. We could get some flashbacks with Qui-Gon, which is super interesting. I think Qui-Gon is such a underdeveloped character that we've seen in Star Wars, and I'd love to see more of him.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if we heard that's going to actually happen, but we have heard rumors of Hayden Christensen. So,
which another thing I love it. Like, we keep hearing things, but we'll see what actually happens, I guess.
Yeah.
I can still
Cool,
hope
you're on
until it
board with
actually comes
hate,
out.
so you don't hate the prequels.
No, I don't hate the prequels at all. I love episode 3.
That's funny. So,
Oh, did you say I love episode 3 to finish that off?
Yeah. I don't mind episode 1. It's fun to watch when you're like sick, I guess.
okay.
When you're sick?
Yeah, like you have the cold and you stay home from work, or you have a fever, you watch it, it puts you in a good mood. That's about it.
What put you in a good mood in episode 1?
The pod racing and Darth Maul in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think secretly he likes Jar Jar. He just doesn't want to say it.
You know what? I do like Jar Jar in episode 1. It's 2 that ruins him. You're right. No, but I mean, you get to see, no,
No.
not at all. But you get to see Darth Maul introduced, which I love because of Clone Wars and Rebels, and the pod racing is fun, and just seeing Anakin be innocent in the beginning is just, it adds some humanity to him, which I always love to see.
Yeah, not to jump off from what we're talking about too much, but yeah, I do think episode 1 did the best at adding humanity to Anakin, because they really went quick to him kind of flying off the handle
Yeah.
with episodes 2 and 3. They really started to show his dark side really fast and really rapidly. Like, just, and I know I used 2 of the same descriptors there, but it was just a really fast decline.
You gotta think over a decade passes, right? Between 1 and 2.
Yeah, but I mean, he like loses it in the first scene of the movie.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just they made Vader so evil in the original trilogy that they really had to move fast, I think.
Okay.
Not super strong point, but I don't give him any difficulty for it, I guess. It makes sense.
I mean, I was fine with the, like, you know, the whole attachment thing and getting to that quickly, because they even started that in episode 1, his whole attachment thing and letting go and how that was hard for him. Man, in the first scene of episode 2, he's like getting angry.
Yeah.
Man.
Then he
Not wasting
murders
any
all the
time
same people.
Like, you would have thought, like, at that point, they're like, maybe we made a mistake. All right. So, we pretty much established that Cassian's a non-starter for you.
Right.
Okay. All right. I'll watch it.
I was
okay?
going to go to the next topic. But
Yeah. I got that. But I'll watch it. I'll be excited. I'll talk about it.
I know you'll watch. I have
But
no doubts about that.
yeah, but moving on. Yes, as you said.
Yeah, you got to watch it. You need more fodder, right? Like,
Yeah, of course. More Star Wars to hate, I guess.
Oh God.
all right. Well, Star Wars that you don't hate. The Mandalorian.
Yes.
We got to talk about The Mandalorian, and we got to talk about things rumored to be coming up in season 2. Because
Yeah.
man, the rumors have been flying, and we haven't really gotten your take on a lot of that. And you know, I know you feel like we talked about this and we had you on for this. I really don't know that we did.
Hey, if we did, my points might have changed. I still agree. So we know Ahsoka is like for sure gonna show up, right? That's what we know.
No.
We don't even know that. Okay,
We don't know that for sure.
Ahsoka better show up. I loved that. I want to see that. I want to see Ahsoka adapted to live action in a way that makes sense, and I think Filoni is the person for that. Bo-Katan is great too. I'd love to see that. And
I was like ready to fight right there. You were like, Bo-Katan is, and I was like, get ready to fight.
Oh no, I love Bo-Katan. Like, I want to see that. It doesn't need to be a huge character role, but it could. But it just something from her would be great, because I think she's such an established character from the Clone Wars that it'd just be great to see her. Boba Fett, I couldn't really care less.
Yep.
I don't think it could connect that well. Like, sure, it's cool to see him, but
Is it though?
exactly. Okay, is it? Honestly.
Oh my God.
He's an okay character, sure.
You guys
But
are funny.
Ahsoka and Bo-Katan are way better, I would
I
say.
mean, I've always been on the whole Boba Fett thing. Yeah, he was cool when he was cool. It's done. He dead, man.
See, I was never there for when he was just cool, so I'm really hoping he becomes that.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, and when I say he was cool, the only reason Boba Fett was ever cool is because he looked cool.
Yeah,
That's it. You know, he was the only character in Mandalorian armor that we had in that at that time. So he had all kinds of, you know, mysticism about him. Like, what? Why does he look like that? And you know, we get into the EU and stuff, and they start talking about Mandalorian stuff and what's a Mandalorian like. So Boba Fett got a lot of hype for no good reason. My thoughts. That's
yeah.
my
I mean,
thoughts.
It's
that's
true.
that's fair. I've always wondered like why Boba Fett gets so much love, but Jango Fett really doesn't. I think we've seen Jango Fett be more of a badass than Boba Fett ever has.
Like,
But-
I never got that whole like anger. You know, when we got to episode 2 and they're like, Boba Fett's a clone? What the hell, man? Like,
Yeah,
so
no.
what?
Who cares? Yeah,
He died on accident, dude.
yeah.
Literally. Like a punk. And we're gonna be like, oh no, he was a clone? Oh, come on, that ruins it.
No, it
Han
doesn't.
was blind. Didn't see him. Boba Fett, where? Dead.
Dead. Blind Han Solo kills him, or
Right.
at least puts him in the Sarlacc pit. Yeah, I agree. For Mandalorian season 2, back to topic. 100% Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, Darksaber, all that stuff. Super interested.
Yeah.
It's
And-
going to be great.
and-
I'm excited to see Baby Yoda again. It's been a while since I've seen all the memes and just I miss opening Twitter or Facebook or whatever and just seeing Baby Yoda. It'll be good to see that again.
And how do you
Man,
feel?
I don't know. That my Twitter and Facebook must be way different than yours because I still see it every day.
You are lucky. I just see.
It is Baby Yoda meme after Baby Yoda meme.
I really wish I still saw that. I just see real world stuff that's scary and dark and horrible.
Man, I have seen 50 million Chicky Nuggy memes.
Oh, those are the best. My friend made me a shirt that says that. It's great.
Okay, you mentioned live action Ahsoka.
Yes.
How do you feel about Rosario Dawson?
I really think she could kill it.
Okay.
I think if they do the right, like, maybe it's prosthetic. I guess prosthetics. Because I really want it to be realistic, and less CGI. If they do it right, I think she could absolutely kill it. So much potential. She is a great actress, and I think she'd fit perfect with Star Wars.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
100% backer.
Let's just put this out there. So Bo-Katan's rumored to return.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Bo-Katan is going to be played by Katie Sackhoff, who voiced Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like maybe there's a little problem with getting Katie Sackhoff to voice or to play Bo-Katan, a character she voiced, and not getting Ashley Eckstein to play a character that she voiced?
Okay, I love Ashley Eckstein. Love her to pieces. Her voice is great, but I think Rosario Dawson fits the actual physical appearance so much better.
Okay, I'll
I
accept that.
I love them both. Ashley Eckstein, like, she gave me Ahsoka for so long. She was the voice, just the living person of Ahsoka. But I think if they mix them, or at least we see how Rosario Dawson does, there's just a lot of potential there.
Right. I just, I throw that out there. I don't have a problem with, Rosario Dawson in the least. I just throw that out there as a question because in Star Wars, we typically have loyalty to the actors who have come before,
Yeah.
no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering if that loyalty affected you at all? Like that, if you would rather have seen Ashley Eckstein step into that role?
Surprisingly, it doesn't as much, which is weird. I want the best for Ashley Eckstein. Like, whatever Star Wars can do for her, any animated, of course, put her in it. But if Dave Filoni is running it, I think I trust his choice more than my own.
Yeah, and
at this point.
So I'll say this about that though. I am a very, very staunch supporter of Ashley Eckstein voicing this character for The Mandalorian. Like, I just don't see Rosario Dawson's voice working in this role.
Okay.
I just, for some reason, I've tried to picture it, listen to her talk. I don't get the voice, you know? It's like, I just don't see it. I feel like, okay, yeah, you need, you know, you feel Rosario Dawson is going to be a better physical presence in there, but every time I hear her speak, I'm like, I don't hear Ahsoka in there. I just don't.
Here's the thing about that, though, is that in Star Wars, this can be done. I mean, this is done all the time. You know, ADR's done a lot.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I almost feel like you have to have Ashley Eckstein voice this character.
Okay.
It just seems necessary.
Now, my thing to you, I guess, is do you think Ahsoka's going to have a major role? Because I think she's going to be more of a cameo, or she's going to show up for like one episode and be a major character and then just go away. So Ashley Eckstein wouldn't be that much needed.
Okay, so let's take into account Giancarlo Esposito's comments about what season 2 is going to mean for his character. He talked about the Darksaber, talked about wielding the Darksaber, and talked about lightsaber to lightsaber combat.
Right. And breaking 3 of his prop lightsabers. Darksabers.
Okay. Now, he's going to have lightsaber to lightsaber combat. Against who?
That's a good point.
So it's obviously going to be a significant enough role that I think whoever the voice of this character will matter. It will matter. And let's be honest here, for the way I feel about Ahsoka in Star Wars, if she's in this episode for 5 minutes, the voice of this character is going to matter. What this character has to say is going to matter. Period. Whether it's 5 minutes or it's 50 minutes, it matters.
That's fair. I'd agree with you on that, actually.
And Ahsoka has a certain way of speaking, a certain way of delivery that I think is going to be important. Ahsoka's a very vocal character. Ahsoka's never been about how Ahsoka looks. You know, it's
Yeah.
almost always about what Ahsoka has to say.
I think Rosario Dawson could do it, though. I think she's a great actress. I think she has the potential to do it.
I mean, I do hope you're right.
Yeah.
I never wish bad on Star Wars. Period.
Yeah, fair.
I always hope they're making the right choice. But I just really hope they're making the right choice. Ashley Eckstein has voiced this character from start to finish so far. No one else has voiced Ahsoka along the way.
This is just one of those situations where, you know, we're introduced to the character. You see the character in live action for the first time. You just don't want it to be jarring when she speaks, you know?
Yeah.
But,
And like I said, so much of Ahsoka's character is based on what Ahsoka had to say.
yes.
It really is a dialogue-driven character. So how she sounds is going to be very important. And if they're using Rosario Dawson, then they're probably making the right choice. Because if anybody has love of this character and compassion for this character, it's Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let a subpar product out there. And not saying it wouldn't be a good performance. It could be a good performance and not quite nail it.
True.
So call it loyalty, call it whatever you will. But I think there's a lot of importance into how Ahsoka sounds.
Yes. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I have another question. I'd like to take this conversation one step further here. This is referring back to something you mentioned earlier on, Hunter, and that is something that you would really like to see in the future would be a Thrawn and Ezra show. How much would you like for Ahsoka's appearance in The Mandalorian to be the stepping off point to getting there?
Yes.
Okay.
That I can't even grade this at all. It's completely yes. I want to see Ahsoka show up, maybe help Bo-Katan a little bit with the Mandalorian problem of Darksaber, and then completely I just want to see her in the Ezra Thrawn series. The Ezra Thrawn series, whatever that ends up being, whatever we see out of it, is the most interested I've ever been in Star Wars.
Ever.
Yep.
Wow.
That's it. I mean, not counting the original trilogy, because that's the first I've seen of Star Wars, but after that, that is the most interested I've ever been. It's all new. It's different. There's a Force user who's not really a Jedi, but is a good person, mixed with the super just strategic genius. There's so much potential there that I see.
Wow, not really a Jedi, he says.
About Ezra.
Yeah.
I would not say Ezra in the end is a Jedi. I say he's more of a good person that is using the Force.
Okay, so he might not have been able to complete training, Jedi, quote unquote Jedi training, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's going to be one of these people. I would like to think that he'd be one of these people striving to reestablish some sort of organized training for Force users. Call it Jedi, call it something else, doesn't matter. You know.
I see him as more of he is existing. Whenever we see him, maybe. He could be helping the Chiss Ascendancy, which is a whole different aspect of Star Wars, but he's just a Force user who is a good person. I don't see him as fully following the Jedi code. I see beyond that, at least for him.
So let me ask you this, because I don't see Ezra in a much different light than I see Kanan Jarrus or Cal Kestis. Those are two characters that would be considered Jedi.
I look at Kanan as more of a Qui-Gon character. I don't see him as full Jedi. I see him as more of the Force will use me in whatever way it wishes, and I will be its vessel. Cal Kestis, I want to see more of. I don't think he's at his end point. I think if the more the games come out, the more he'll be developed into more of a just Force user than just a Jedi.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one of the big things in Rebels was Kanan Jarrus becoming a Jedi Knight.
And I see that, but in the end, he just seems more like a Qui-Gon character. I see him more Force-focused than religion of the
further than
Jedi.
that. He was a Jedi Master.
In a way,
In a way, what? Like,
you look at Qui-Gon. I wouldn't call him a pure Jedi. I'd call him he is one with the Force.
he was a Jedi that was, yeah. He saw the Force in a different way, but he was full blood Jedi, man. Like he didn't agree with some of the decisions the Council made, but he'd never turn his back on them.
I personally, because this is completely different, I saw Qui-Gon as a character that stick with the Jedi Council to hopefully influence them to become more of a realistic group of people.
Which would have been the Jedi way.
It would have been the Force. It wouldn't have just been the Jedi.
But
because the Jedi have failed countless times. It's not
right, but what wasn't that the point? Is that the Jedi had become misguided? Like Qui-Gon would have been more of a pure Jedi than the Council was.
I think the point was the Jedi in general was misguided. The religion that was the Jedi is misguided. Same with the Sith.
I don't see. Like I took that in a different way. I really thought that the religion necessarily wasn't misguided. The problem was that the Jedi got involved in the politics. They got involved in the peacekeeping, the wars, the things like that. The Jedi got involved in more than
they started seeking power,
which was the Force.
Yeah,
that wasn't the Jedi religion guiding them to that. That was a leadership problem. The text didn't tell them, hey, you got to protect the galaxy. No, that didn't tell them that. The text told them to be one with the Force.
So, my personal problem with the Jedi is the code of the Jedi, right? Like, there is no emotion, right? There is no whatever and whatever. I can go on and on. It's pretty much making the person turn into a robot. You can have no emotion to be a Jedi. That just... I don't think to access the Force and be part of the Force is to have no emotion. I think that's where the Jedi religion went wrong.
But no emotion was not their thing. You could have compassion, which is an emotion.
Well, the Jedi code is there is no emotion. That's it. That's the first line of it. There is no emotion. I think the Jedi code in general is what led people to the dark side.
That's an interesting take. I kind of see it like any organization tries to dilute their goals or their charter down to the lowest common denominator, so everyone's got a firm grasp on what they're doing, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of like that with the Jedi.
In my point of view, because that's Star Wars, there should be no organization for the Force. It should be truly living through the Force, living your best person, doing the best you can. Period. It shouldn't have a whole bunch of negatives attached to it. That's what I see through it, at least.
So negatives attached to it?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked this up so here's the Jedi code, word for word. Okay. And you are right. The first line is there is no emotion. Okay. But here is the Jedi code. There is no emotion. There is peace.
Right.
There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. There is no passion. There is serenity. There is no chaos. There is harmony. There is no death. There is the Force.
Yep.
So
Hunter, you know, I've touched on this before, and I just kind of want to say it out loud right here. I kind of feel like in order to get the kind of Star Wars that you're talking about here, we have got to go several millennia into the past in the timeline.
And past or future.
I'm thinking past because if it's in the future, I think the galaxy needs to collapse and start rebuilding as though it were the past in the future.
Yeah, honestly, pretty much. One or the other, I'd say, is fine. The biggest thing about the Jedi Code is, okay, so yeah, there's no ignorance, there's knowledge, whatever. There's no passion. If there's no passion, then what makes the characters interesting? They're robots. They're a Serenity. Sure, they're these holy beings. They're like angels. I want to see characters, like actual people that are Force users. The Jedi, like, cut that off completely. And I'm not saying that Sith is much better. The Sith is the complete opposite way of making a person just too passionate and too evil to be a character. I hate the phrase "the middle" in Star Wars because it's been ruined to death. But like that middle ground is what we're looking for.
I guess my take of what you're saying is you want to see somebody trying to figure it out.
Yes.
With no real help.
Yes.
Okay. To put it that way, I could see that. I mean, that could make for some interesting storytelling. But
I think in the world today, like what people are going through today, that is what we need.
Okay. But I am going to say this. That needs to take place thousands of years before, you know, our current Star Wars, right? Or a long time from now in the future. That's just how I feel about it. This whole area that we've been dealing in, from Battle of Yavin up to the sequels, kind of, you know, that's kind of got to be its own thing, and we move away from it then completely.
I 100% agree. I don't see the reason why we're still so focused on this time period of Star Wars.
Well,
when there is so much potential out there.
I like it.
Yeah, it's great. I always come on here and I sound like I hate Star Wars, but
why do you hate Star Wars?
I do love it. I do love it. I'm very passionate about it, and that's why I'm on here talking about it. It's just there's so much more it could do. Sure, go in the past. Sure, go in the future. I just want to see it expand instead of keep going the way it has been.
Yeah, I mean, so I look at the code as more rules than that, you know, more guidelines than actual rules, you know.
It's kind of what I was trying to get at when I was talking about organizations, right? The thing is, when you have a large group trying to adhere to a certain way of doing things, there's got to be some sort of you know, something set up for you to follow, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of more general, I'm sure, than you know, and God, we're digging deep into, you know, stuff that we're not necessarily, you know, experts on here. You know what I mean?
I do got to say, someone out there caught my quote.
Oh, what's that?
Someone out there did.
What'd you say? What'd I miss?
I said I think of the code as more guidelines than actual rules.
Oh.
I wish the Jedi thought of it that way too, but they don't.
The Jedi that are the problem, sure.
It's the Jedi we've seen. It's all of them. The ones we've seen in canon all have that problem. Okay, who is dead? Like, he...
Not Ahsoka?
Ahsoka, my favorite character, the one who has left the Jedi completely and has said verbatim that they are no Jedi. I'm ready for whatever Ahsoka is. Please, just do that and expand on characters. Star Wars, you have the potential. Do it.
Yeah, I guess my main point was Qui-Gon was a Jedi.
Qui-Gon was a Jedi, but I would honestly say he was more on his way out than anyone else. I would say if he stayed alive, he would eventually join Count Dooku and whatever separatist plans he had.
See, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Because Dooku's just as much part of an organization as the Jedi.
Yeah, but Qui-Gon didn't know that. I think Qui-Gon would have at least joined, realized that, and changed him.
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I think Qui-Gon, just like he was sniffing out what was going on with the Jedi Order, he'd do the same thing with Dooku.
Maybe.
You
I'd
got
love
somebody
to see
pulling
it.
your...
I wish we got that. I think Qui-Gon's the most interesting Jedi we've ever gotten. Like, pure Jedi we've ever gotten.
He's certainly up there. Certainly
And
not given the credit that he deserves.
And just to point out that he said pure Jedi, which is what I was going for here.
Uh-huh.
That was my point. Is Qui-Gon was probably more like the Jedi were supposed to be than what they were in the modern day era of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
Qui-Gon had a grasp on what that religion truly was.
Yes.
Sure. I agree with that. I see. So we saw the original trilogy and we saw old Ben, like the stoic Jedi character, right? And then we go back to the prequel trilogy and we see Qui-Gon, who, okay, that makes sense. He's kind of like old Ben, right?
Kinda.
Everyone else is just this political, like, they just try to boost their own standing.
I disagree with that. I'd say old Ben was more like the Jedi that we saw that were the problem.
Ooh, please explain more. Please explain more.
I mean, he was dead set on. There was no saving Vader. There was no in between. This was the path that was you go to the dark side, you can't come back. This is it. That you chose your path.
That's true. You got a point.
I mean, that was the Jedi of old talking.
He's just about as wrong as Yoda.
Oh, don't
He's
start.
equally as wrong as Yoda.
Oh, don't start.
Hey.
He
Okay.
agreed with them the whole time. Not once did he say, Yoda, maybe, no. He's like, yeah. Well, he said,
Okay. But then we see the background of what Kenobi went through, right? We get to see him fight his best friend and go through that and try his best to help him and fail. Besides that, I see Kenobi as being the Jedi, right? He's the most, like, tranquil, one with the Force person we see. Besides Qui-Gon, I'd say. Maybe Yoda, but Qui-Gon.
okay,
I think...
let's take that, right? Like, so Yoda has a line with Luke where he tells him, that is why you fail. Right?
Yeah.
So that is the reason he failed. It was for not believing in what he could do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was for thinking it was impossible. Obi-Wan didn't believe he could face Anakin, that he could do anything about Anakin in episode 3. And he even turned to Yoda and said, send me to fight the Emperor. I can't face Anakin.
I will say, the episode 4 Obi-Wan was closer to Qui-Gon than the episode 3 version of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I would
Here's
agree
the
with that.
for sure.
But he also had one foot firmly entrenched into what the old Jedi Order was and what it was all about.
In a way, okay, so episode 3, right? Obi-Wan says he does not want to face him. It's not because he doesn't think he can change him. It's because it's his brother. Like, he doesn't want to have to deal with that. It's horrible.
I mean,
Imagine
if
if your
there was
brother-
no emotion, there is no problem.
But there is emotion. That's the problem with the Jedi. They don't allow any emotion.
But it was his emotion that stopped him from doing the right thing, from reaching out the way he needed to.
I think Kenobi tried. I think in episode 3 he tried his best before they started fighting and all of that. He saw everything. He saw him murder younglings. Like, after seeing that, I don't care who you are. You're messed up. He tried his best to talk him down, and it just didn't work.
He talked him down?
He tried. I think Kenobi
He blamed
tried.
him the whole time. He didn't blame the Emperor. He didn't say your mind's been warped. He told him you've done this yourself.
Right.
I'm sorry. If you come at me in a conversation like that, I am not on your side. Whether you're right or not, you come at me like fists up, we going, bro.
I guess
I
this
think
is
he
what,
tried. He literally said, "I have failed you." Like, he took responsibility for it. He thought it was his failure for it.
10 minutes into the fight?
No, in the very beginning,
No.
sure, he says, "Okay, specifically, I have failed you." Like 10 minutes into the fight, and he says, Palpatine is evil. He doesn't blame Anakin for it. He says you were lost because of what Palpatine has done to him. I don't think he blames Anakin at all for it. He blames himself. That's why he's on Tatooine for so long by himself.
I mean,
And that's why episode 4 is so just somber when
I saw
Kenobi dies after seeing the prequels.
I truly saw no talking him off the ledge though. Like it was right to conflict. And even Obi-Wan's my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. Like, no, dude, your allegiance is supposed to be to the Force, to the light side, to good. Like, why you pick the Republic? Like, choosing a political force in that moment was the wrong thing to do.
Sure, it was wrong, but Obi-Wan was pretty much saying, I chose what we've been fighting for this entire Clone War. I'm not trying to do it for the Jedi. I'm trying to do it what we've truly been fighting for. Because we know Obi-Wan knew about Padme.
Right, but
I think he was trying to allude to that more so than anything else.
yeah, but okay, I chose what we've been fighting for, but what they've been fighting for was misguided. They were fighting for the bad guy.
Yeah, the
Anakin
Jedi are
already knew
horrible.
that.
Yeah.
You needed to, like, I had an aha moment. Dude, you need this aha moment. We've been fighting for the wrong dude. The Republic is this guy.
Yeah.
To say my allegiance to the Republic. Well, the Republic was literally led down this path by this guy, which is totally misguided.
True. But I'd like to see the Republic as more of an idea that Anakin and Obi-Wan have thought about and talked about a lot, of being a peaceful galaxy. I don't think it's more so my allegiance is to the Republic, the actual Republic. It's to the idea of the Republic.
Yeah, I still think the Force would have been a better jumping off point
I think at that
in
point
the interest of
Obi-Wan.
mediation.
I think at that point Obi-Wan has known since training Anakin that Anakin honestly doesn't care about the Force. He never has. He cares about people. And I think at that point he was trying to get to that point. Like that point of Anakin. Because that's the biggest thing I truly think about Anakin is he is the strongest Force user and the chosen one, but he really just wants the people he loves to be safe. He couldn't care less about the Force.
Okay.
I think Obi-Wan was trying to allude to that point. He's known him the longest, and that's what he was. It was his last ditch effort.
Okay, but to that point, then maybe it should have been more personal.
I'm always down for more personal confrontations. I do agree. I will say that confrontation was made before the Clone Wars was ever created. So even if Lucas had the idea in his mind that all that stuff happened, we didn't know that happened.
Oh, I mean, if we're gonna go ahead and say, yeah, this was pre-written, duh.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's just ending the argument.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, well, George already thought this was the way it was gonna go. Well,
I
I
don't
guess I got
even know
nothing
if
to
he
say to
did.
that.
yeah, it's more so now seeing what we've seen now, right? Filoni's made all of his stuff. Lucas has made all of his stuff. Disney, whatever. It makes more sense in that way, but back then it was just who knows, honestly. But
Well-
oh my god, if we've gone off track. Yeah,
Yes, we
off
have.
track.
But these are good talks.
There was a track.
I've never seen the track. Never seen
Yeah, I mean, we started off the rails when I said go, which is fine. I don't think we came into this episode with any intent of staying focused and staying on a certain track.
No.
We came in here to talk Star Wars, and wherever that led us, it led us.
Yeah, I do apologize for people who wanted that, but
No, I think
Structure?
what we did here tonight, this was like the perfect type of conversation to have for, 3 years of talking about Star Wars. So,
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to celebrate doing 3 years of a podcast talking about something that we love, I'd rather just sit down and talk about stuff we love and have those, debates with friends. This is what we do. This is what spawned the idea of doing this podcast, is having these discussions, arguing about Star Wars. It's what we do, man. It's why we're here. I can't think of a better way to celebrate it.
me neither.
yeah. I mean, hopefully you guys aren't too mad at me.
We're not.
I
do
can
love
promise
Star
you
Wars.
this. I can argue Star Wars all day and come out the other side going, hey, man, good fight.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. In the end, we love Star Wars. I've loved it all my life. I'm interested in what is coming. I love having debates about it because I care about it. It's been part of my life for as long as I can remember. It's great. I love differing opinions.
Yeah, we should all remember that the things we love the most are sometimes the things that piss us off the most, right?
Yeah, 100%.
What do you mean sometimes?
I know.
All the time.
I would say always. Always that is
Yeah.
the case. That, whether it's your wife, your kids, you love them the most, and they piss you off the most.
That's right.
But you can't get pissed off if you don't care.
Exactly.
If you don't care, there's no reason to get mad about anything.
Right.
You have to care to get passionate, to get upset. So that's just proof. Don't ever feel bad about not liking certain things there, Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I'll defend it to the end. I swear. I have such a weird view of Star Wars, and I recognize that. But I will defend it.
I love it. I love different takes on these things.
And it's easy to talk about the stuff you like. And usually the stuff you like, you say, yeah, I like that. What next? Oh, I like this about it.
Right.
But when you get something that's mad, like when you get mad about something, you dive into it. Why did this make me mad? Okay, now I got an explanation for it. You don't need to justify why you like something. You just say, hey, I like it.
Right.
When you get mad, you got to go through all the reasons like, man, is my anger really justified? You got to explain it to yourself first. So that's why you end up with this whole reason why something makes you mad. It's real easy to get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Great talk, guys. Great talk. I had a lot of fun with that. Well, if you all out there listening have anything to add, want to tell us why we're wrong, you know, I'm sure there was a lot in there that you thought was wrong.
Yeah, please correct me.
You can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. Find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. I'll start with Hunter. Hunter, any final thoughts from everything we said?
I mean, I have so many thoughts, but in the end, just happy 3 years. That's incredible. You guys have been doing this for 3 years. So here's to another 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can talk more in the next 3 years and just get more people on my side, I guess. We'll see. I love Star Wars, and I hope it's still going as strong in the next 3 years. Thanks, guys, for everything.
Oh, yeah. And look, we definitely want to have you back more frequently. Like we love having you on. I know you say you come on here and you sound like you don't like Star Wars. No, like we just described. Like, it's obvious you have a passion for Star Wars. You can't get mad if you don't have passion. So you may be heading a dark path, but it's all right. It's all right. Doug, any final thoughts?
I just have to say, I love this conversation we've had tonight, and yeah, there was plenty of times where I was kicking back listening to you two go at it, and it was awesome. So, and for me, I think that about covers it.
All right, and I'm going to chime in with just a little bit. I want to say thank you to everyone who's listening. You know, it's been awesome doing this for 3 years. We do it because we love it. And Doug, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
3 years, man. This is great. Other than that, we will talk next week.